Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier, and I'm continuing my LEGO Army reviews, and today we're looking at some fantasy races, where we're looking at the Elves and the Dwarves. Starting with the Elves, here we have Thronduil riding on a big cat, because why on earth not? I don't have a giant stag for him to ride, so he gets to ride on one of the Enlightened giant cats, which I think are pretty cool. We then have the blue-haired one there with the crowny-looking thing is one of the Enlightened Elves, and then we have a pair of Galadriels. We then have four more of the Enlightened Elves with the fabulous blue hair and some happy faces and apparently mostly angry faces. We then have ones that are from the minifigure line. They had some elven shield maidens that I think are absolutely awesome looking with their looks like shoulder armor and their shields and their big swords, which is cool. They're yellow. All the other elves are pink, so there is that, but what are you going to do? And then finally we have Lord of the Rings elves. I think we've got a Legolas and I think some Elrons and then a bunch of just hooded guys there in the back, archers. Yeah. Decent army there. They will probably be in some way allied with the Forestmen, just because I imagine those two would get along. Someday I hope to have a large enough Lego room where these guys can actually have their own woodland kingdom with fancy things in the trees and all of that. But unfortunately, when I moved here, the table got shortened, and I don't have room for it. So hopefully, someday. Also, hope to someday have a place for my dwarves, because dwarves have always been my favorite fantasy race. On this side, we have the ordinary, I don't know, really ordinary, but we have dwarves. And a lot of these, some of these were from, the fantasy line, along with those orc characters. These ones are from that. This one is from the minifig line. These ones are obviously from the Lord of the Rings line. And then a lot of them were ones that I just made up myself, using the early short legs that came with the Star Wars and Harry Potter sets. I was able to make my own dwarves using wizard beards and helmets that I cut down and stuff like that. These horned ones in the back are from the Enlightened Dwarves, who actually are slightly taller and whose legs actually bend, which is neat. They also have different beards. Then over here we have my Berserker Dwarves, which for those of you who play Warhammer will recognize them. I think it's awesome that they had the whole red-haired mohawked dwarves, and then we saw mohawked dwarves show up in The Hobbit. And then we also saw them in the LEGO minifigure line. This one is actually from the minifigure line. And then I made the ones with the black beards and mohawks and the brown ones. The black ones are actually LEGO. The brown ones, the brown mohawks I had to get from Brick Arms because LEGO did not make a brown mohawk. They made black and red and green and blue and pink. But I didn't have beards in those colors. So this one was originally one of the Lord of the Rings dwarves, the one who was a Berserker Dwarf in the beginning of The Hobbit. And he now has, since he was always a particularly tall dwarf, he has the enlightened bendable legs that makes him just a little bit taller. And I think he's got the enlightened beard because it matched this better and it was bushier and all that. So, yeah, they have an assortment of wicked-looking axes and weapons. A lot of them also came from Brick Arms or Brick Armory. So they have a lot more character, if you will. So I really like how those came out. So I wanted to have a mountain full of dwarves across from the forest full of elves, but again, the table got shortened and there was no longer room, so that got abandoned. But someday I hope to have a larger Lego room where I can have a full 2-foot by 4-foot table and finally build that dwarven mountain. So stay tuned for that someday, and thank you guys for watching.